Okay, clock shows 10 a.m. Is everybody ready to proceed? Good morning. My name is Raymond Levy. I am the chair of the Claremont County Board of Elections. We're going to have something that's a little bit like a trial, and I'm going to function a little bit like a judge presiding. However, the decision will be made by all four members of the Board of Elections, all four of our votes counted for. So I'm going to ask my three colleagues to please introduce themselves now.
Larry Heller. Greg Conrad.
Tim Brett.
We're here on a challenge to the right to vote of Mr. Michael Perry that has been filed by Mr. Chris Hicks under Revised Code 35.3.24. The statute calls out a two-step process. The first, the board is supposed to determine whether or not it can resolve the dispute about Mr. Perry's right to vote in the board's own records, and if not, then we have an evidentiary hearing. In light of a Supreme Court decision issued today, it appears that we would probably not be able to make the decision based strictly on the board's records. So in order to avoid any prejudice to anybody, we are going to proceed with an evidentiary hearing. At this point, I would ask the parties to identify themselves, please. Mr. Hicks?
Christopher Hicks.
Are you represented, sir?
By me.
By
So
yourself.
pro se.
I'm Mike Perry.
Mr. Perry? Mr. Perry, do you have counsel?
Yes.
Michaela McLean, counsel for Mike Perry.
Okay. Okay, this is going to proceed, what they call a quasi-judicial process. The burden of proof is on the challenger. You have to establish that Mr. Perry is not qualified to vote where he is registered by clear and convincing evidence. That also gives you the right to go first. I'm going to take 5 minutes, each side will get 5 minutes to do an opening statement.
I need more than 5 minutes to present. So, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
5 minutes to make an opening statement. Then you'll get to present your case in chief. Of course, there's always a right to cross-examine both sides. When Mr. Hicks is done with his case in chief, Mr. Perry, you'll get to present your case in chief. Then Mr. Hicks has any rebuttal, give you 5 minutes for closing statements, and then the board will retire and deliberate. The statute does require that we make a decision immediately following the hearing. So there will be a decision today. With that said, Mr. Hicks, you're prepared to give your opening statement?
Sure.
Please proceed. You have 5 minutes.
So I'm basically, what you'll find in the case on my layout is that Mr. Perry, approximately June of 2006, changed his address for purposes of being involved with governance in Owensville, a place he does not live. So you'll hear and see records and see business records of the auditor's office, et cetera, and some of your own records, that Mr. Perry and his wife moved from Owensville to Miami Township in 1991, 1992. They purchased a house there in 1991, changed their registrations jointly in 1992. Then he inexplicably changed his registration back in 2006, and then has been involved in Owensville politics when he does not live there. We'll see video showing his wife at the door of their house having to correct herself when she starts saying that he lives here. You'll see that video. You'll hear him talking about how he sleeps sometimes at his landscaping business shop, which is what the address in Owensville is today, a landscaping business. You'll hear all of that, and then we'll go through the statutes. I'll take you through the statutes at some point where there's a presumption of a husband and wife living together, but on all the other tests, the same things apply. By sleeping in his business location, it doesn't make him a qualified elector of the place his business is. By doing that, it doesn't make him not an elector in Miami Township. His move is purely for political reasons. It's not there's some case law. It's not a transitory step that, for example, I moved here and I was going to move my wife and kids later because we're remodeling the house or something like that. None of that applies. This has been going on for a long time. It's been an open secret, I think, in Owensville that he does not actually live in Owensville. And you'll hear me present all of that, plus a report that the Watchdog Wire did of, particularly the thing that'll stand out the most will be his wife having to correct herself on their front porch in Miami Township. And then his statements that he sometimes sleeps at his business location, which of course does not make that his intent to return permanent address. It makes it his business location, and it doesn't cause him to suddenly be a qualified elector in that location. So I'll take you through all of that. And I think it'll be pretty straightforward, and we'll see what the decision is here and where it goes from there. That's it.
Counsel, you want to make an opening statement on behalf of Mr. Perry?
Yeah, this case is about one issue, and that's if Mr. Hicks can establish by clear and convincing evidence that Mr. Perry is not a legal resident of the Village of Owensville. He cannot meet that burden. Every objective record, including Mr. Perry's driver's license, his bills, 20 years of voter registration, confirms that he's a resident in Owensville. Mr. Hicks did not interview Mr. Perry's neighbors. He did not ask questions regarding Mr. Perry's residency. The evidence will show that Mr. Perry has lived there continuously since 2006, and that Owensville is where he lives, sleeps, and intends to remain. By contrast, Mr. Hicks' case is based on assumptions about my client's marriage and his assumptions on how marriages should work. Statements he admits were based on what he was told and observations outside the home of Mr. Perry and Mr. Perry's wife. There is not clear and convincing evidence here, and it's not sufficient to overcome the consistent objective proof of Mr. Perry's residence.
Mr. Hicks, you may proceed presenting your evidence.
Okay, well, so I've handed out some things that are business records. Just for the record, I contacted Mr. Shrive and Mr. Dennison and Ms. Height 2 days ago about these records, asking for what authentications do you need, what do you need this, and I only got a reply from Mr. Shrive this morning, like at 9:15. So these are all business records of just in case there's any questions about that, of the auditor's office, which we can gladly go pull up, or from your own offices, okay? But I've summarized them in this deck, and want to highlight some of them, and then I will call a witness, and I don't know what the procedure is here, by the way, Mr. Lemke. So,
Mr. Hicks, are you testifying now? I don't understand what you're doing.
I understand what you're doing, Mr. Shrive.
Is this more of your opening statement, or are you going to start offering evidence?
The evidence is right here, so I can testify on my own behalf, right?
Okay.
So I, as a person, can testify. Okay,
First of all, you need to take the...
Brian, let it go. I'm ready.
I need to get each person that's talking, because I know everybody wants to see the
Okay.
record, so one at a time, and I'm happy to. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Is this the witness chair? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to testify to start. I can then be cross-examined, then I will call other witnesses. So let me present from my experience, since I could theoretically try to question myself, but I'm going to run through this evidence, then I'll call witnesses to kind of go into more detail relating to that evidence. I'll put it up here because it'll be easier for me to look at it up here, but it's in the packets I handed out to you. So I filed the challenge, as you know, on April 26, 2026, more than 30 days before the election, which is relevant, some of you know. And then I want to point out these records, the business records that I only received. I asked for authentication thing, but only got a note back from Mr. Shrive a little after 9 o'clock this morning about it. But these are business records from the auditor's site and from your site. So I've been getting information that Mr. Perry is not
Mr. Hicks, what are business records from the auditor's site? I've got things that look like things you wrote. We've got things here that look like...
Why don't I tell you where each thing, as I go through my testimony, Mr. Lemke, I'll tell you where each record came from that's depicted on a chart. And you can make a note on the page in there of where that record came from. Okay?
So we're supposed to treat each part in these pages as separate exhibits?
Here we go. This is the way it works here.
Mr.
It's not
Hicks,
about...
That is uncalled for?
No, it's not. It's completely called for.
It's not an appropriate comment.
I asked your
I'm sorry.
staff for
I'm sorry.
authentication.
Stop.
I can't take down argument.
We're not
So-
talking about identification. We're talking about what is this stuff and how are we supposed to look at it. I've got a page, I've got a packet of several things. They're obviously very disparate, different documents. Are we supposed to...
How about as I go through them, I'll tell
Can I
you, as I
finish?
said.
May I finish, sir? Now, we've got a packet here with a number of different documents that obviously came from different sources. You're sitting here talking about, well, these are auditors' business records. They obviously are not all auditors' business records.
Some are your records.
So if you're, yeah, maybe. So if you're going to be talking about this, have we got several exhibits? Have we got one exhibit? The stuff that is sort of your argument in writing really isn't an appropriate exhibit.
I will point out on each page the source of that information. Can I proceed?
Is this one thing? Is this one exhibit or is it several exhibits?
You can guys determine how you want to take it in as exhibits. We could label individual pages as Exhibit 1, Exhibit 2 from there. By the way, the full documents for all those, as I mentioned, either came from your staff or I provided them several days ago saying, how do you want to handle authentication related to these? And only got any response from Mr. Shrive this morning at about 9 o'clock.
Okay, I'm not sure what that is, what that pertains to, but fine. Okay, go ahead and testify, Mr. Hicks.
Okay, all right, so I filed a challenge on, which I'm assuming you guys have copies of the challenge that I filed. If you want that to be an exhibit, we can say that's Exhibit 1. Would you like that to be an Exhibit 1?
Do you want to move the challenge to Exhibit 1?
Well, this is, we have that entire packet of the board documents. Did you?
Yeah, some of the things did you put the auditor documents in there?
What part of this is your challenge, Mr. Hicks?
I mean, I can pull it.
Do I have a packet of that?
No, this was presented to the board. This was initially going to be used to review prior to hearing to go through the board's records.
But if we're going to say like pages 1 through X or Exhibit 1, then I'd like to have a
I
copy.
understand, Mr. Hicks.
Okay.
Calm down.
I'm pretty calm.
So this is the challenge, which pretty much doubles.
If you want this on the record, I need it up higher. I don't know if you're just talking
Oh,
about the
sorry,
board or.
this is a copy of the challenge that was submitted. It's on double, it's printed double sided. And then these are the board's records that were compiled.
So we have a total, the challenge, we have a total of 12 pages. Is that consistent?
Correct.
That's it. So,
And I have I have a copy of it myself here, but it's not all in the.
you're offering this as Exhibit 1, Mr. Hicks?
Yes. But I don't know your process and couldn't get any information on it, so.
Right now, just identify it so the records, and we'll need a copy of the board for the whole set.
Okay.
Please proceed.
Okay, so I've been getting information from Owensville that he doesn't actually live there, okay? And so what I did was I pursued that in a news report on the Watchdog Wire that took place on March 31st. And in that, and I'm going to play a copy of that video right now of that report. And so I would say the report that I'm about to play becomes Exhibit 2. Is that fair?
You want to make it Exhibit 2? That's
The video report. I don't know your process, guys. I think these hearings are fairly rare. So when a citizen avails themselves of this process, I'm not sure how you want to treat exhibits or how you want to do things.
Do you have a copy of the video for the court reporters?
I do. I have a copy of it on a memory stick.
That's fine.
Okay. So do you want me to give it to her now or later?
If the reporters, it becomes part of the record.
Do you want me to give it to her now or later?
I don't care, as long as you make sure you get it to her.
Okay, then. If I do it now, I'll make sure I get it to her. Okay. All right. So I'll play the report now. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
What I'll do is play it in its entirety without any interruption, and then I might come back and point out some things relating to the report specifically.
Okay, just remember, Mr. Hicks, at this point, you're testifying. This is not argument. You got to make your argument, the opening, you get to make a closing argument. Right now, you're presenting evidence.
Right, and part of the evidence is this report.
Yeah, fine. But just coming back, what I'm
Couple
picking
questions
up on
for
is
you about your rep.
you can come back and comment on certain things.
Well, I could testify to things like this happened, that happened during the course of the interview. But go ahead. Look, can I play it now?
Please.
I just want to make sure the volume is good, Stephanie, on here, so you guys tell me if you can hear it.
Here anywhere, because I got a couple questions for you about your residency.
Well, what difference does it make, Mr. Hicks? I know your history, so,
What history would that be?
I don't get it.
What do you mean, what difference would it make? If you don't actually live in Owensville, you can't be voting from Owensville in an elected office from Owensville.
I'm gonna contact my attorney, and then we'll go from there.
You're going to contact your attorney about what? About how you're registered to vote at a place you don't actually live here in Owensville? That house behind me is 5827 Patrick Henry Drive. It is in Miami Township. It is owned by Kathleen Perry and Mike Perry. Kathleen Perry is registered to vote at this address. She's the wife of Mike Perry. Mike Perry is registered to vote at what appears to be a business address in Owensville. Why is this peculiar? Because first, the presumption in Ohio law is that a husband and wife register to vote at the same address. Second, Mike Perry is on Owensville Village Council and per their website is vice mayor. So what exactly is going on with Mike and Kathleen Perry? Well, I had a chance to try to ask her a few questions at her door about where he actually lives and where he spends the nights. My understanding is that this home here on Patrick Henry is Mike Perry's real residence, and that the work location of his landscaping company in Owensville is essentially a fake residence for purposes of him holding elected office in Owensville Village. Is Michael Perry here?
No,
Are you Kathleen Perry?
yes.
So where does he live?
Here, in Owensville.
Okay, well,
Hi. Who are you?
my name's Chris Six. I'm with the Watchdog Wire. I'm a reporter.
Why?
Because there's been questions raised as to where he lives.
Owensville?
But his name is on the property for this address,
Correct,
but you're on the property in Owensville.
correct.
So why is he,
He's on council up there.
so he fake lives there so that he can, are you guys separated or divorced? Do you have marital issues?
No.
So, okay, so you're saying he doesn't live here?
Why don't you just call up there and go up there and stop and see him up there?
Okay, well, I'm just a little confused on your living arrangement. So you're husband and wife?
Actually, yes.
You know, in Ohio law, there's a presumption that husband and wives are registered to vote at the same address.
You know what? I'm not getting in this because I don't know what this, I'm assuming it has to do with him being on council. Somebody must have done something with it.
No, the question
I'm
is,
recording you, are you?
I'm recording my face, not yours. But the question is, how is it that you guys, it appears that he only maintains a fake address there so he can be on council.
Oh, God.
Why would he not live with his wife?
That's personal. That's none of your business.
It is because in the law in Ohio, for election purposes, a husband and wife are presumed to live together and be registered at the same address unless they have an actual divorce proceeding or legal separation filed in a court. You've told me you don't have marital issues, so I'm a little confused on what's going on with him.
You want to talk to him.
Do you take him back and forth to there? Have you ever driven?
But I'm not answering any.
Have you ever driven him there? Because there's people there saying that he leaves a vehicle there to make it appear that he's there at times, and that you actually drive him. You're wearing a Mike Perry landscaping shirt.
Because I'm working around the house.
Okay. Do you sometimes drive him over there? Okay. And you're saying at night he doesn't come here.
You talk to him.
Is that yes or no?
I'm not answering any more questions because I'm not involved in
I
this.
don't think you've answered any questions.
Okay.
Other than that you're married and you're not separated, you're not getting divorced or anything like that. So it's just curious as to, but he's not here right now.
So who brought this up?
I think several people have brought it up, but I'm an investigative journalist.
I'm
Well,
sure.
who do you think
I'm
this?
sure.
You said you know who the several people are. Who do you think the several people are?
I'm sure he knows who it is.
Well, who do you think it is?
Not me. I'm not involved in that. That's he's on council. I don't get involved in the council stuff.
Okay, why don't you live in Owensville if he lives in Owensville?
I'm not answering any more questions.
You haven't really answered any questions.
Well, that's good. So
Okay.
you talk to him, you stop up there and you talk to him.
Okay, but he's never here. He doesn't sleep here at night. He doesn't live here.
I'm not telling you.
So you're not denying.
That's between him and me.
No, it's between him and you in the state of Ohio because you're registered to vote in two different addresses. And a husband and wife are
I'm
presumed,
not.
he and you are registered to vote.
I'm not registered in two different. I live
You're registered here. He's registered in Owensville. That's contrary to the presumption of Ohio law that a husband and wife, unless they are divorced or going to have a legally filed separation.
There you go, there's a presumption.
Yeah, well, this is, why are you,
Husbands and wives do not need to live together to get along, so, correct.
so you don't live with them because you don't get along?
So you're just twisting, okay.
No, I think it's
we're
very
twisting
strange.
what I'm saying.
No, I'm
I am not saying anything else. If you wanna talk to him about it, you contact him up there.
Okay, but he doesn't sleep here at night.
I'm not spelling.
You won't answer. Okay, so she won't answer whether he sleeps here at night, so, thank you, ma'am. Okay, so now I'm in Owensville and I'm walking towards 414 South Broadway, which is Mike Perry's address here. Now, I was here earlier this morning. I drove by this place and there was a pickup truck sitting in the driveway here. And when I just got here, it seemed to me that the pickup truck has vamoosed. So I talked to his wife, and she said, come ask him, so I'm here. And the pickup truck that was sitting here is now sayonara. So let's see. I'm still going to go up here and see if anybody answers the door here.
A few moments later.
So I don't think anybody's here. And like I said, there was a pickup truck sitting right here, not 35 minutes ago. 35 minutes ago, it came by here and there was a pickup truck sitting here. Fresh tire tracks right there. That's the pickup truck bolting out of here. I wonder if he got a call from somebody.
A few moments later.
He has this sign that he supports Owensville Police. And he has his phone number right here. So let's give him a call.
A few moments later.
Hello, is this Mike?
Yes.
Hey, Mike. My name is Chris Hicks with the Watchdog Wire, and I'm at your place in Owensville. Are you around here anywhere? Because I got a couple questions for you about your residency.
Well, what difference does it make, Mr. Hicks? I know your history, so,
What history would that be?
I don't get it.
What do you mean, what difference would it make? If you don't actually live in Owensville, you can't be voting from Owensville in an elected office from Owensville. Is that you just pulled in here?
Where are you?
I'm at your place in Owensville.
No, I'm not there right now.
Okay. Well, I just watched somebody pull in a pickup truck. Different
Yeah,
one.
that's my son who works
Okay.
with.
Okay. But clearly this is not a residence, this is a business location. Your wife says you're not divorced or separated or anything, so Ohio law assumes you vote from the address that your spouse does, that you both register out of the same address. Why is it that you have your registered to vote at your business address that's in your wife's name, not at the house in Miami Township that's in both your names?
All right, so what is this, buddy? I mean, you're up to something.
What do you mean? It looks like you're illegally voting from Owensville and illegally holding office. That's what I'm up to.
Well,
You don't actually live here. You live in Miami Township with your wife.
during the week, I reside in Owensville because I work.
You sleep here every night.
You know what? I'm not going to talk to you anymore.
Well, I just asked you to sleep here every night. You said it's like what, a 20-minute drive? You sleep here because it's such a long drive?
Bye.
All right, there you go. Clearly, this is a sham. This guy is on council, and this is not a residence. This is a business address. It's all back here. If I go down the street a little bit, it's all landscaping vehicles. So he says that's his son back there. So another person, this is like the Aaron Hazard thing, so it gives me the opportunity to file a challenge and see what the Shrive Revised Code says is going to happen here in Claremont County.
A few moments later.
Mike Perry had gone up the street to the village offices where Mike Freeman was.
Mr. Perry, can you talk to me for a second about your residency?
Absolutely not. I'm going to contact my attorney, and then we'll go from there.
You're going to contact your attorney about what? About how you're registered to vote at a place you don't actually live here in Owensville?
Come on, Marley. Come on.
You're a public official. You're on council.
Taking pictures of it. You're having a good time, buddy.
Well, why don't you just explain your residency and why you're registered in a place you don't live? Is that it? Why is that so hard? All right, there you go.
Okay, so that's the report that was filed on March 31st. And I think that one of the things that opposing counsel, I'm not a lawyer, but is missing is that there's a presumption of husband and wife being together, and it's not simply clear and convincing evidence, it's whether they have evidence that rebuts the presumption. So it's a little more complex than that simplistic view of the law. I noticed Mr. Conrad reacting to the questions about marital issues, but Mr. Conrad, that's directly part of statute that has a bearing upon where people are registered to vote.
You don't need to start commenting on the board members. If you've got evidence to offer, that's fine. What that is argument.
Okay. Can I continue now?
If you're going to say with facts, you're going to start saying, well, I saw Mr. Conrad do. No, you're not going to continue with facts.
So your assumption is that any testimony somebody gives are facts?
If you've got evidence to present,
Okay.
which yes, I think
Can I
you
continue?
contend are facts,
Can I continue?
as opposed to commenting on what you're seeing here in the room today.
Can I continue?
If you've got testimony to offer, if you want to start making argument, no, you may not.
So it's hard for me to understand what you're saying is testimony versus argument.
Testimony is what you
I'm making
think
it-
relevant to the issue.
I'm making a factual observation.
Sorry.
That has nothing to do with how Mr. Conrad reacts, how I react, how Mr. Heller reacts, how Mr. Rudd reacts, has nothing to do with the question of where Mr. Perry lives. Confine what your testimony is to the issue.
But I
where
can
Mr.
make a
Perry lives.
factual testimony about the statute.
No, you can't make factual testimony about statute.
Okay,
About statute
can I
is
continue?
argument.
This is a quasi-judicial hearing.
Yes.
This is why we
Trying to
have,
maintain.
this is why we have election issues, because this is supposed to be a citizen accessible
Okay,
Okay, I'm
process.
sorry.
This is not an opportunity. This is
Stop
not an
a minute.
opportunity for you
Please
to
stop a
make.
minute. If you want this on the record, I know that you're both here, but it has to be one at a time or it doesn't go on the record.
I'm going to go
And it's-
first.
okay.
This is not an opportunity for you to make speeches. If you have facts to offer, or things that you believe are facts regarding where Mr. Perry resides, that is what you can put on now. Your commentary, your view of what the statute means is argument. You can do that in your closing.
Okay.
If you have evidence.
Then I need
where
more than
Mr.
5
Perry-
minutes in a closing.
Well, you're not getting more than 5 minutes, so.
Okay, we'll be at the
You better
Supreme
figure-
Court.
you better
Okay,
figure out
so-
how we can fight.
Okay, so these are records I sent to your people that are from the auditor site, and I'll say that this next one could be Exhibit 3, which is but I sent them the full record. This is an image of it a couple days ago, Brian, from the auditor site, and asked, how do you want to handle these auditor records? So this is, in 1991, the Perrys purchased the house on 5827 Patrick Henry Drive. Okay, your staff has the full file of this. Okay, so you see that record, September 12th, 1991. I'm going to say that's Exhibit 3.
That would be the bottom half of page 6,
No, the thing said the thing marked page 6.
the
Yes,
bottom half of the.
the bottom half of that page that says
Sorry.
5 and 6. Okay.
Make sure the reporter gets a copy of that, please.
The full record, just so we can clarify this, I've sent the full record to your staff. So, and I asked about how do you want to handle these records? So you have the full record. I'll give her a copy of this deck that I have here, but you guys have the full copy of that record. I just snapped that part onto this page. Okay? So the next thing, so clear.
Let me be clear. Anything that's not entered into evidence today is not evidence. So if you don't have it today to present to the court reporter, it's not evidence.
Well, you guys have the records, and we can be back at the Supreme Court again, Brian. You know, you didn't respond on these records until this morning after I was here.
We have other things to do. Mr. Rothbard.
Well,
Mr. Couple things. Number one, we have the records does not make it evidence in this hearing.
okay.
So
The fact that you guys never responded is an abuse of your discretion.
it's not.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
Mr. Hicks, it's not our obligation to prepare your hearing for you. You filed a challenge. You chose not to do it with the help of counsel, so you're responsible to know, as if you were a lawyer, how to do this.
Okay, and we'll be at the Supreme Court, guys, or there'll be another challenge. My point is, this is supposed to be a quasi-judicial process that's citizen accessible.
I'm
You're
sorry.
not here to argue.
You seem to be. You seem to be.
I'm trying to
I'm
get
off the
you to
record. I cannot do this.
back on the record with what I say. Now, you're here to present evidence. You're not here to do what you think about how we ought to run the proceeding.
Well, it'd be nice if I knew how you ran the proceeding versus it seems like you're making up as you go.
It's not, no, we're not making it up as we go. You are. And it's not our obligation to tell you how to present your case. You made the challenge.
Okay.
You have the burden. You have to know how to present it.
They have to rebut the
It's not-
presumption,
it's not-
okay?
It's not,
Okay.
that's argument, Mr. Hicks.
Okay,
Do you have evidence to present?
I'm trying to, but you keep
No, you're
arguing
not.
with me.
No, you're
Okay,
not.
so the next thing is your own records. Okay, it's probably in that stack that Brian ripped the front part off of. That is your voter registration cards. So page 7 is Michael Perry's voter registration, and I think in consultation with Stephanie, we believe that the date says on the right side on January 21 of 1992, he changed his registration from Owensville to Miami Township at the Patrick Henry address in the house that I just showed that they purchased. If you look down below, that's Kathleen Perry's voter registration card from the old system when they were on hand done, where she changed her address on the same date from Owensville to the Patrick Henry home. So I would say that those are, how do you want to handle that? That's part of your own records. The Exhibit 4 and 5?
This is your evidence, Mr. Hicks. You want these as Exhibit 4 and 5?
Yeah.
So 4 would be Mr. Perry's card that's identified as page 7 on your hand. Is
Yep.
that correct?
Correct?
That is 4. 5 would be Mrs. Perry's card, which is identified as page 8 on your document.
Correct?
Okay?
I'm gonna object to Exhibit 4 being he changed his address from Owensville to the Patrick Henry. That's a mischaracterization of the evidence. He changed his voter address from Milford on Elm Avenue to the Patrick Henry address. He was not in Owensville.
That's fair.
And then-
So he's gone through a couple of address changes.
I'm not going to consider that as an objection to the admission. That's certainly something you can bring out in cross-examination or through testimony. That is a fact matter that goes to the weight of how we should consider
Yeah, but-
this record.
But I'll clarify. So
As opposed to whether or not it comes in.
I don't know what the first line means there, but the second and third lines on the right side, she's right that it shows that they moved their address to a Milford address, or at least the city of Milford. I don't know whether it was Miami Township or Milford, and then to Patrick Henry. Okay, so that's a good catch. Okay, and then you've got the same down below, except the Milford. I don't know. That one's a little reverse, but we can come back to that. Okay. So then if you go to what says page 9 on what I provided, this is again one of your records, and we'll say that this is Exhibit 6. Okay, that he changed his voter registration back to an address in Owensville on June 12th, 2006. Okay, and then the next page, which I'll say is Exhibit 7, is again from your records, is that he ran for council. I don't know what happened between 2006 and 2011, but he ran for council in 2011 and was elected to council in Owensville. And that is, we'll label that page 10 as Exhibit 7. And then I wanted to call out the address facts. So the two addresses, so this Google map, which I'll say is Exhibit 8, if I'm right, is showing the difference between the two addresses, which is 8.6 miles. It's on the page that says 12, but it's a little cut off at the bottom there. Okay. And then the next page, it's labeled 13, which we can say is Exhibit 9, is auditor records, auditor business records showing that the address in Owensville is in the name of Kathleen Perry, and that the tax bill for that address goes to 5827 Patrick Henry Drive in Milford. And it has no homestead exemption and no owner occupancy credit. Okay. I don't know why, but the next page, which I'll say is Exhibit 10, which is another different page out of the auditor file, that's on 14. That shows that in February of 18, they changed the ownership of the building in Owensville from being both of them to being just her. I have no idea why, but that's just a factual statement. And then if I go to I'll say it's Exhibit 11, which is the page number is cut off there, but it would have said page 15. Is that the house in Miami Township at Patrick Henry Drive does have an owner occupancy credit on it. Okay. And then the next page, which I'll say is Exhibit 12, is a screen print from the auditor's website describing what an owner occupancy credit is and what it means. The last sentences of which is a homeowner and a spouse are entitled to this tax reduction on their primary residence. Okay. And so what I found is, because I have a reasonable amount of experience with these kind of things, and I think it's important, and Mr. Lemke might start yelling at me shortly, is that in Ohio law, what's confusing to me and why I asked her certain questions at the front door about their marriage is because there's a presumption of a married couple.
Mr. Hicks, this is not testimony. You can talk about what.
I knew you were going to start yelling at me.
I'm not yelling at you, Mr. Hicks, but I am trying to make these things proceed in a proper fashion for a hearing. You can talk about what you think Ohio law means in your closing argument.
Well, here's my concern, Mr. Lemke, is when Mr. Conrad is acting like because I brought up marriage as a big issue would imply to me that maybe the board's not aware of the law.
Well, that would be an incorrect assumption, Mr. Hicks.
Okay, then I don't know why he was reacting the way he was to me asking questions about their marital relationship.
Why Mr. Conrad or anybody else in this board is reacting has nothing to do with any issue before this board.
Okay.
And it's not an appropriate subject for you to comment on. If you want to talk about what you think the law means, you can do that during your closing argument.
Okay.
But you don't get to see it.
But I don't need more than 5 minutes.
You already said it once in your opening. You don't get to say it again during your quote testimony and then your closing argument.
Okay. So this is supposed to be a citizen accessible process for voter integrity.
This is.
I didn't hear
right
what
now-
you said, and you're talking over each other. This is very difficult, and I'm not going to go 4 hours doing this.
Well, this is not.
Hopefully it won't be that long.
This is the time to present evidence. This is not the time for you to argue about what you think the law means, or what you think is voter integrity, or how you don't like how somebody's facially reacting to what you're saying.
Okay. So
You've got evidence on the subject of where Mr. Perry lives. This is your time to present that.
Okay, so I've presented a bunch of evidence.
Anything else?
Yes, if you could, am I allowed to?
Please proceed. Well, no, you're not presenting, when you start talking about presumptions in Ohio law, you're not presenting evidence. That's not evidence.
Okay, my experience is why I ask certain questions would be things I could testify to. I could testify to why did I ask a particular question at the door.
And the relevance of that is what?
Because I asked those particular questions because of the presumption in Ohio law that husband and wife live together. That's why I asked that specific question.
Why you ask particular questions may be very interesting to you. It's not relevant to the question of Mr. Perry lives. If you've got other evidence on the subject of where Mr. Perry lives, please present that.
Okay, can I continue? You okay?
Not if you're going to go on about the presumptions in the Ohio law, no. If you have evidence to present that bears on where Mr. Perry lives, yes, you may continue.
Okay. So in the report that I did, when I asked at the door, and you can listen, I could replay it, where I asked, where does he live? And she says, and then she goes, in Owensville. Okay. He also testified that during the week, he sleeps. Now,
Excuse me, when did Mr. Perry testify?
I'm sorry, I said the wrong word, but calm down, okay? He stated in the interview, can I move forward? He stated in the interview.
Stop making comments directed at the board members.
Okay.
We're not going to tolerate that.
Okay. So he stated when I asked him that he slept at the shop, okay? And when I asked questions about, well, how often do you sleep at the shop? But he himself stated that he goes home to 5827 to the address in Miami Township on the weekends. He has an intent to return on the weekends. So, here he goes again.
Mr. Hicks, this is a testimony. This is not evidence. This is you arguing about what you think the evidence means. That's closing argument.
Okay.
Do you have other evidence?
I'm trying to talk about the evidence that I presented
No,
as the
no.
reporter who took. I'm allowed to testify as to what happened during that interview.
Yeah, but what you think it means, the conclusions, which is what you're just doing, the conclusions to be drawn from that.
Well, I've heard a lot of things where witnesses have been asked, what did you think it meant?
That's not relevant here. So no, you don't get to give that testimony. That's not evidence.
Okay,
What you
I'm
think
making the
means-
factual
what you
statement.
think it means, it's not a
This is
fact.
going to take like 6 hours.
Well, if you're not going to proceed properly, we may have to, or we may have to just call this hearing. What you think.
Supreme Court.
What you think something.
So that's. I mean, I think a lot of this is exposing how these boards of elections operate.
Well, that's not what this hearing's about either.
Okay, so
You think something means.
factually, and I want to make sure that the board
I'm sorry.
Do
understood.
not interrupt.
I'm sorry.
Mr.
This-
what you
Wait a
think-
minute, please. Please wait a minute. This is not possible for me to do. So I'm not comfortable taking down something that is not take-downable because it has my name on it.
Okay, we'll
And
try
I'm
to
not
do that.
comfortable with it.
But Mr.
I
Hicks,
was told that this is not how it was going to be.
what you think something means is something you can talk about in your closing argument. That's not evidence. If you have other things you want to present about where Mr. Perry lives, either through documents you found, or if you have other witnesses you want to call, that's what you do now.
I think I can state what was said in the interview because I want to make
You've
sure,
already shown us what was said in the.
but I'm not sure that you guys, it may not be audible, okay?
We heard it. So why do you, so there's nothing to be done by repeating it. If you want to tell us what you think.
So if I had a counsel here and they asked me, what did he say to you this? They could ask me that question, I could answer, okay?
You've already shown what they said. You played the video, we've all heard it. If you want to talk about. what
You were
you think
asleep
that
when I
means,
played it. You had your eyes shut.
That is absolutely false.
Okay,
That is a completely false
so
statement. Remember,
that,
you're under oath, Mr. Hicks.
okay. I got the video of you being asleep.
I was not asleep, Mr. Hicks.
Okay, well then keep your eyes open during a hearing.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
As a categorical
I need to
false
take a break. I cannot do this. I don't know how to stress it to you, but it's not professional. I can't take it. Somebody has got to help me out. I cannot try to write down what you guys are saying and be interrupting you all the time to tell you you're interrupting each other. You guys know that.
Well, I'm going to say this one more time. You've already presented your video. We all heard it, we all saw it. Even I saw it, Mr. Hicks.
You couldn't have seen it with your eyes closed.
So, Mr. Hicks, you don't argue with me. We all saw it. You don't get to go back and repeat again, well, this is what they said. We all saw the video. You don't get to say, well, this is what I think that means. You can do that and argue.
I don't,
Mr. Hicks.
Do you have other evidence?
during the interview, he stated that he went home on the weekends, okay? And that he's,
I'm not taking it. I'm sorry.
why are you like this, Ray? It's like you work for the team.
This is because I'm trying to run a proper hearing. This is not the Chris Hicks show.
If there was a lawyer asking me questions, what did he say at the door about this? I would be able to answer those questions.
It would be repetitive.
That would not be a proper question.
Okay.
You've already presented what he said at the door. Saying it again doesn't add anything.
He wasn't at the door.
We're breaking.
What do you mean recess?
We're off the record. No, we're just.
Mr. Hicks, do you have any other additional information you wish to present that you have not presented yet, exclusive of your opinions of what the information you've already presented means?
No.
Do you have any other witnesses you want to call?
Yeah, but don't they get to cross-examine me?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, cross-examination.
Good morning, Mr. Hicks. Where do you live?
444 Woodward Court, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45255.
And is that in Owensville?
No.
How did this situation come on your radar?
I'm a reporter that runs a set of sites called under the name The Watchdog Wire that has about a little over 40,000 followers.
You just said.
And so I report and investigate things almost entirely related to corruption and political corruption or political malfeasance.
Who told you about this?
Several people, one of them is here today, Jim Jasper.
Who else?
That's the only one I can remember. I get people telling me stuff where I don't know who the person is. You follow what I'm saying? Like at a meeting or something, somebody tells me, you're right, this is what's going on.
Okay, several can mean 3, several can mean 15,
So
several
I
can
would say
mean 30,
three or so.
3 or so, and you can't remember who the other 2 are.
But no,
When did they tell you this?
all within the last probably 15 days or so, 15 to 30 days.
Have you ever lived with Mr. Perry?
No,
Have you ever stayed overnight in his house?
No.
Have you ever stayed overnight in his wife's Milford home?
no,
Have you ever observed where he sleeps on a regular basis?
no,
Have you ever been inside his Owensville home?
no,
You've posted at least 5, there may be more at this point, videos about this matter across your social media platforms, the Watchdog Wire, right? And in those posts, you suggested that Mr. Perry's home is actually a business, correct?
that property is used as a business.
But
That's what I've alleged, is that property is used as a business.
But you've never been inside.
No, but I've looked through the front window, the front door window.
That property is classified as residential though, correct?
In the auditor's records, yes, but again, it's used as a business site.
But what's classified as residential? Okay. And the land use code is a single family dwelling.
Point to me where you're, is there an exhibit I'm supposed to be looking at
Yeah,
that you're
it's your
referring to?
exhibit, actually.
9.
Exhibit 9, yep. Land use code. It's the 4th line down on exhibit 9.
Yes,
So by official classification, it's a single family residence.
yes,
And it's possible to live where you do your business. Possible.
no.
Never.
Unless that property had a separation of some sort or it had clarification. The issue at hand here is that you have a husband and wife.
That's not
So,
what I asked. Is it possible to live where you do business?
yes,
Okay, thank you. You recorded a video outside Mrs. Perry's home in Miami Township, correct?
I reported a video outside of a home jointly owned by Mr. and Mrs. Perry in Miami Township.
You stated that address out loud.
5827, when did I state it out loud?
In that video that you recorded?
Probably.
Okay.
5827, is that right? 5827 Patrick Henry?
And you showed a photo of or a video of the Patrick Henry home in that
Yes,
video? And you have approximately 40,000 followers
yes,
on your social media. And in that video, you stated she purportedly lives alone. She claims she lives alone.
I don't believe I stated that.
You insinuated that she lives alone.
Well, but that's, I don't know what insinuated means.
Okay.
I don't believe I stated that.
Okay.
I believe I was asking questions about
Her living
the residency status and where he lived. I don't think I've ever raised issues about where she lives. I think it's clear to me that she lives at that address.
But you publicized someone's home and address online to your 40,000 followers.
Yes,
Okay. In your Easter morning video, you stated that a pickup truck is left outside the Owensville property to create the illusion that Mr. Perry lives there.
I said I believed that a pickup truck is left there to create the illusion.
You actually said, I have been told
Yes,
that a pickup truck is left there.
Yes.
Who told you that?
Jim Jasper,
When Jim Jasper tell you that?
I can't remember, within that same time period of 30 days.
How did Jim Jasper tell you that?
I can't remember, probably by phone or something. So probably on the phone.
So no text, no email.
I don't believe so.
Okay. Did you review Mr. Perry's driver's license before filing this challenge?
No,
Did you review any of his utility bills,
no,
his medical bills?
no.
So before filing the challenge, what did you review?
What do you mean before filing the challenge?
Before-
That he clearly is not in compliance with the election law, which has nothing to do with medical bills, driver's license.
What did you review to come to the conclusion that he does not live in Owensville?
the property records in my own interview where his wife starts to say here, and he says that he doesn't, he sleeps sometimes during the week in his shop, but goes home on the weekends. That
Did he say he goes home on the weekends?
yes.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did. He said we can play it again. He said so I believe he did. Do you want to play it again?
You can play that portion of it again. If you
I don't know if I can get to that portion. We have to play the whole thing.
I would rather not watch 11 minutes of
Okay,
it.
it's you're the one questioning me, so you ready to play it?
No, he does not say that he goes home.
Okay, I believe that he did.
Your position is that because Mr. Perry's wife lives at a different address, he does not live in Owensville, correct?
No, my position is that he does not legally, he's not a qualified elector in Owensville. He could sleep there 3 nights a week. That doesn't make him a qualified elector in Owensville. Because his intent to return is to his primary residence, which is in Miami Township.
He's not a qualified elector in Owensville because his wife lives at a different address.
Yes, because the statute states that there's a
That's not what I'm asking.
presumption.
That's not what I'm asking.
I thought that was what you were asking
No.
exactly.
Do you believe married couples should live together? Do you believe married couples should live together?
I don't know how my belief relates to this. I believe that, but the answer to that is yes, but I believe that the Ohio statutes are clear.
Do you believe that married couples should live together? Yes.
I asked and answered.
Okay. Do you believe that wives are husband's chattel, husband's property, and that they have to live with their husband?
I don't define chattel. I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you believe that wives are husband's property?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Do you believe that wives are husband's property?
No.
Okay, then why would a
That's
wife
a silly
have to,
question.
I agree, but why would a wife have to live with her husband?
The question is not.
Why would a wife have to live
Can
with
I answer your question? You asked a question, let me answer the question. The question has nothing to do with whether wives are property. The question has to do with the presumptions of Ohio law relating to the qualified elector status of a husband and wife. That's all.
Are you aware of any Ohio law that expressly, not presumes, not assumes, expressly requires that a husband and wife be registered to vote at the same time?
Yes, 350302D creates the presumption which they would have to rebut.
Presumption, that does not expressly require.
I think it does expressly
Are you
require.
an attorney?
No.
Okay. Other than your assumptions about Mr. Perry's living arrangements and what others have told you, you have no actual hard evidence that Mr. Perry does not live in Owensville, correct?
I think I do because his house that he owns that has an owner occupancy credit on it is in Miami Township. The property he owns that for which he's taking an owner occupancy credit is in Miami Township. I think that's pretty much evidence of what his home is and where his intent to return is as it relates to a qualified elector.
The property on Patrick Henry is owned by Kathleen and Michael Perry, correct?
Correct.
And it has an owner occupancy credit.
Correct.
And Kathleen lives there.
Correct.
And Kathleen is an owner that occupies the house. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
You got me.
The house in Owensville is owned by Kathleen Perry, correct?
As of 2018, yes.
And Kathleen Perry does not live there.
Okay.
And the house
Yes.
does not have an owner occupancy credit.
Okay. Yes.
Because Kathleen Perry does not live there, right?
Yes.
You can't have an owner occupancy credit somewhere you don't live.
Yes.
And Kathleen Perry doesn't live there.
Okay. Yes.
So why would Kathleen Perry have an owner occupancy credit on a house she doesn't live in?
The married couple can take the owner occupancy credit on the house that's their primary residence.
But Kathleen Perry doesn't live at the Owensville house.
Even if you had a house.
Hold on.
Can I answer the question? You asked me a question and I'm trying to answer.
Go ahead.
So even if you had a house that was only owned by one spouse, you could take an owner occupancy credit on it because it's the primary residence of the spouses. So you're confused on the relationship between the ownership record and the ability to take a owner occupancy credit.
I am not confused on that.
Okay.
They have their owner occupancy credit on the home they collect.
Is she testifying?
No, you.
What's the question?
I'm getting there. They have an owner occupancy credit on the Patrick Henry house.
We've asked and answered.
Okay. Kathleen Perry.
They have an owner occupancy credit on the Patrick Henry house.
Kathleen Perry owns the Owensville home. Yes. There's no.
Asked and answered.
There's no owner occupancy.
Where's
credit
this about redundancy? Where's that now,
There's
Mr.
no
Lemke?
owner occupancy credit there.
Asked and answered. Where's the redundancy now?
So if that is your proof that he does not live there.
That's not my proof, that's evidence.
So going back to the question, what is your actual hard evidence that Mr. Perry does not live in Owensville?
That he says himself that he sleeps at the shop sometime during the week for work purposes, which by Ohio law does not make that your qualified elector address. He says that. So if I go get let's say that I went and worked at the United Dairy Farmers in Owensville and slept in the parking lot. That doesn't make me a qualified elector in Owensville. That's specifically in the statute. I would continue to be a qualified elector at my primary residence where I ultimately have the intent to return.
How do you know what his intent to return is?
Because he said so.
He did not say so.
He said he sleeps at that address for work purposes in the interview.
But did he say he never intends to return there?
They said he comes home on the weekends.
He did not say that.
Okay. Do you want to tell me what time marker you say that you want me to play? If I can figure out how to get it to go to a specific time marker.
I've got nothing else.
Thank you, Counsel. Mr. Hicks, do you have anything to say, any testimony you give, evidence?
No, I don't know if you guys do, so a lot of these things I've been involved with, then the board can ask questions like the Ohio Election Commission, or a judge could ask questions.
Assuming my colleagues want to ask questions, they will say so.
Correct.
Do you have anything to rebut the evidence you testified to on cross-examination?
Yeah, so the point being, so these things that she's bringing up about medical records and driver's licenses are not part of the election statutes relating to.
Well, hold on. You can't testify to what is or is not in the election statute.
Okay.
Do you have any evidence?
I think I've had evidence that she said here, and then she corrected herself.
Mr. Hicks, can I finish the sentence for once, please? I understand you like to do all the talking, but let me finish. Do you have any other evidence to present in rebuttal to what was brought out in cross-examination?
Well, so if she got done, then if I had a counsel, that counsel could cross, okay? And that counsel might ask me questions like...
Well, your counsel would not cross-examine you. That's by definition impossible.
Redirect, correct, redirect.
Do you have anything?
Okay.
Redirect.
So on redirect,
Redirect is limited to things brought out in the scope of cross-examination. Do you have any other evidence?
I'm going to say no because this is painful.
You're right, it is. Okay, then you are done testifying, correct?
Yes.
Do you have any other witnesses you wish to call?
Yes.
Please call them.
Okay. I'd like to call Kathleen Perry.
Please stop and be sworn.
Excuse, swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Perry, for showing up today. So did I stop and ask you, did I knock on your door, ring your doorbell on March 31st, 2026?
Yes,
Did you talk to me from inside your door stoop on March 31st, 2026?
yes,
Okay. When I asked you where Mr. Perry lived, did you start to answer here and then interrupted yourself to say in Owensville?
no, I started to answer something because I was nervous. I've never had anybody meet me at my front door and start questioning me.
Okay.
So no, I was
You've
not
never
gonna
had
say he lived there.
Okay. You've never had a census worker or anybody ask you questions at your front door?
No.
Okay. I'm going to play the beginning of this again, just the beginning, so we can hear what she says on the front stoop to see if that recollects your memory, okay? If I do it correctly here. Are you around here anywhere? Because I got a couple questions for you about your residency.
Well, what difference does it make, Mr. Hicks? I know your history, so.
What history would that be?
I don't get it.
What do you mean, what difference would it make? If you don't actually live in Owensville, you can't be voting from Owensville in an elected office from Owensville.
I'm gonna contact my attorney, and then we'll go from there.
You're going to contact...
I can try to fast forward it to that part.
At a place you don't actually live here in Owensville? That house behind me is 5827. Owensville Village. Is Michael Perry here?
No,
Are you Kathleen Perry?
yes,
So, where does he live?
here, in Owensville.
So,
I said,
yeah,
I didn't say here, I said,
okay, so you're saying that
Because-
that word is not here. Let me find it again. I apologize.
Can
Is
you turn
Michael
the
Perry
volume
here?
up a little bit?
Are you Kathleen?
That should
No,
be sufficient.
blow you out.
Thank you.
So, where does he live?
here, in Owensville.
Okay, well,
Who are you?
my name's Chris Six. I'm with the Watchdog.
So you're saying that that word you uttered was not the beginning of the word
Why
here.
would I say here when he doesn't live there?
I'm not asking you why. I'm asking you what you
I
said.
didn't say here.
So you're
And
saying,
for one, I was nervous. I've never had anybody
okay, just
come to my front door and
Okay,
start asking
okay.
questions, personal questions.
that might be a reason you said here, but I'm asking you the questions right
I've
now.
already answered. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to play it again because I want you to say that you believe. What word do you think is you're
It's
saying?
almost badgering.
Mr. Hicks, you've already played
Ask
it.
and answer.
You asked
Okay.
her what she thinks she said. She
All right,
answered
Ray.
the question.
Okay.
Doing it over and over again doesn't accomplish anything.
So why did your husband change his voting address from the house in Miami Township back to Owensville on, I believe, June 12th, 2006?
He had an opportunity, can I say it? He had an opportunity to be on council, and we discussed it as husband and wife. So he moved back to his family home.
So he's moved his possessions out of your house in Miami Township?
Correct.
So he doesn't have a place, he doesn't have clothes and stuff at Miami Township?
He may have a pair of underwear there just in case he's there and he needs them, but, and a change of clothes.
So your representation is that he has physically moved all of his stuff from Miami Township to Owensville?
Yes.
Okay, so if in the future, well, so how many nights a week does he sleep in Miami Township?
Spousal privilege. She's not going to that. Objection.
Yeah, I think it's sustained.
Okay. So you won't answer the question. Is this a civil proceeding?
It is a civil.
Okay, so there's a presumption that goes with her not answering that.
No.
Okay?
Not in the spousal.
All right, we know why she's not answering, okay? Does he sleep there on the weekends?
Objection. Spousal privilege.
Sustained.
Okay. Do you ever sleep in Owensville?
Yes, I have.
How often do you sleep in Owensville?
Objection. Spousal privilege.
That's not spousal privilege. I'm asking her just about her. I'm not asking her about him. I'm asking her about her.
I'd say I agree with Mr. Hicks on that one. This is not calling for any
That's fine.
interspousal.
It's been years since I have, but occasionally I will spend it on the weekend, but it's been years. I don't like his bed.
Okay, so it's been years, like how many years?
Probably 10 years.
So 10 years, okay. So it's been 10 years since you spent a night in Owensville?
I don't know.
Thereabouts.
I never wrote it down to know when it was. It's been a while.
Okay. When you, so hold on a second, let me think about what you said here. So you haven't slept there in at least somewhere around 10 years, a long time.
I'm not sure.
You won't answer because of spousal privilege how often he sleeps in the Miami Township home. But you do represent that he's moved all of his possessions out of the Miami Township home.
Correct.
Okay. Why didn't you move to be with him in Owensville?
I was still working.
Objection. Spousal privilege.
I kind of don't think so. The question is just directed to her motivation.
That's fine. I was working at the time. I was a mile from my job.
Okay. How long does
I
it,
got up at 4:30 in the morning.
how long
I had
does
to
it,
be at work at 5.
How many?
5:15, 5:30.
I testified that it's 8.6 miles between the two locations. Would you accept that as accurate?
Don't know, never checked it.
You've never driven between the two
I've
locations?
never checked the mileage.
Okay. How long does it take you to drive between the two locations?
Depending on lights, 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay. Between those two places. Now, you said he moved. You made the representation without your counsel saying spousal privilege that he moved to, he changed his address to Owensville because he had an opportunity to serve on council. Was that your testimony?
Objection, mischaracterization. She said he moved because he had the opportunity to serve on council.
I didn't hear what you said, I'm sorry.
She said he moved because he had the opportunity to serve on council, not that he just changed his address.
Your testimony is that he moved to Owensville because he had opportunity to be on council.
Yes.
So I presented records that he was on council. He got elected to council in 2011. Was he on council between the period of 2006 when he changed his address and when he was elected to council in 2011?
Yes.
During what time period was he on council?
I don't know the exact date.
Do you recall whether it was, he wasn't on council for a year or almost immediately he was on council once he had moved there?
I don't.
In your
know the
testimony,
exact
you don't
dates.
know.
I didn't write an exact.
But you have testified that, to your understanding, his reason for moving was because he had an opportunity to serve on council.
Yes.
Okay. I don't think I have any other questions.
Counselor, do you have any questions of this witness?
Can I ask her on my case in chief?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Hmm?
Okay,
What have we done?
you're excused, though. I think
I'll
Mr.
ask.
Perry's lawyer's going to call you to testify again.
Thank you.
Call your next witness, Mr.
I'd like to call Mr. Perry.
Stop.
Oh, sorry.
Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I
So help you
certainly
God. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, Mr. Perry, your wife testified that you moved to the Owensville address in 2006. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. That you took all of your possessions from the house in Miami Township and you physically moved them to the Owensville house.
Correct.
Okay. So you have no possessions, largely no possessions, other than she said maybe like a pair of pants or something like that, but largely, effectively no possessions at the.
That's correct.
Okay. And that the reason that you moved was because you had an opportunity to serve on council.
Yes.
When did you start serving on council?
I don't really recall. I don't know if I waited. I don't recall exactly, but it was during that time frame.
So I've presented that you were elected to council in November of 2011. Is that correct?
Yes. I was appointed because there was an opening during that pre-time frame of being elected to council.
So are you aware that when you're appointed in a village, unless the charter is different, that you serve out the remainder of the term versus other offices where you're required to run in midterm when the next election is?
Yes.
Okay. So do you remember when you were first appointed to council?
I don't know if it was right then. It probably was close to that 06.
June 06. The reason I asked, and let me just have some liberty to clarify, because if you were appointed then, you would have been appointed to a spot that was coming to the end of its term, and versus 2000, because there was a 2007 to 11 term. Okay. And so it would make more sense you were appointed at the very beginning of 2007 and then served out that entire 4-year term. But does that help recollect anything from you on when you were appointed?
No.
And is it your understanding, it's my understanding from researching this, that the village records, a lot of those records were damaged or can't be found of that time period, and for example, meeting minutes and so forth. Do you have an understanding of the status of records in Owensville?
Quite frankly, that wasn't my bailiwick, so I didn't.
For that
pay much
time period?
attention to it.
Okay. How often do you sleep at the Miami Township home?
0.
0. So when we did when I did talk to you in the parking lot and on the phone, do you recall representing to me something, or did somebody representing?
If you recorded it, I said it, but I too was nervous.
So why, if you never sleep there, she never, 10 years since she slept in Owensville, per her whole testimony, are you functionally not married anymore?
Objection, spousal privilege.
Sustained.
Are you in the process of a divorce?
Objection, spousal privilege.
Sustained.
I don't think whether they're in a court action relating a divorce is spousal privilege.
I don't think it's relevant to this proceeding either.
It's very relevant to the statutes. Do you guys know the statutes?
Objection is sustained. I do
You know the case law?
Yes, I do. Oh,
Okay.
better than you do. Objection is
We'll
sustained.
see. Okay, so your testimony is that, how far in advance of you moving to Owensville did you become aware of this council opportunity to serve on council?
Probably a few weeks.
A few weeks. So up to that point, from 1992, when you 91, it says you purchased the house in Miami Township, and then you change your address, and you were registered to vote there from January of 92 until June of 2006, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you're saying that 2 weeks prior, so I think that date was June 12th, you changed your address, somewhere in the vicinity of 2 weeks prior to that, so late May, early June, something like that, you became aware of a council opportunity.
Police, yes, we had someone step down.
Okay.
And the police chief at that time, who was friends with my father, and he, this was before that, but he created the awareness in me that there was an opening, and he looked at me and says, "Mike, you ought to take this position here and try to help out the village."
Okay, so, and then you became aware, somebody informed you, or you became aware that in order to do that, you would have to have your voter registration state an Owensville address. So you're saying that somewhere, let's say late May, let's give it 2-3 weeks, something you find out about this opportunity, you make the decision to move to Owensville.
After discussing it with my wife.
Okay, and then as part of that, did you discuss, you're going to say spousal privilege, but did you discuss with your wife the idea that she would move with you?
No.
Spousal privilege.
Okay, so,
Sorry.
It's okay.
okay, so he answered it though. Okay, so your testimony is that you're.
Strike that answer from the record.
He answered it. I'm not going to strike things from the record. No, it's there.
So your testimony is 3 weeks before, 2-3 weeks before June 12th, you become aware of this council opportunity, and then you, on or about June 12th, whenever this, you change your registration and so forth, you move all your possessions from Miami Township to Owensville, and you and your wife at that point in time begin leading largely separate lives where you don't ever sleep there, and she, at least her testimony in the last 10 years, maybe once has slept at the Owensville address. That's your testimony.
I'm gonna Jack, there was a lot in there, and some of that was spousal privilege. Can you reframe the question?
So and I'm asking him about him, okay? His testimony is that a couple weeks before June 12th.
Now, you're assuming that too, because I said 2 weeks.
I said 2-3 weeks, or not getting.
It could have been a month.
Okay,
I don't remember.
okay, some period, not a year, okay? But you said 2 weeks in your original testimony. I've been the one saying 3 weeks, take it late May, sometime in May to June, okay? So that would give you up to 6 weeks, okay, if I said May or June. But you became aware of this opportunity to serve on council, okay? And then you just talk about it with your wife by your own testimony. And then at that point in time, you at some point proximate to that June 12th, somewhere in that time frame, you move all of your possessions from Miami Township to Owensville. And from then on, you don't sleep in Miami Township, and she doesn't sleep in Owensville. That's your testimony.
That is correct.
But you're a married couple.
Yeah.
Okay. So that would seem to be a pretty big decision in your life. I know with my wife, if I were to say, honey, I'm asking a question, okay? is if I said to my wife, honey, I became aware of an opportunity where I could serve on Batavia Village Council if I had, and I, let's say it's someplace I had connection to, Bethel. My dad grew up in Bethel, okay? I don't live in Bethel, but, I have opportunity to serve on
Is there a
Bethel.
question in this, Mr.
There is going to be, if I can finish, okay?
We're talking about you growing up in Bethel.
So I'm making an example, Ray. My
Ask your
goodness.
question. We don't need to know about your personal.
I'd be done with the question right now, but for you. So let's pretend in that scenario, I'm talking about my wife. If I said I could be on the Bethel Village Council, and let's say I wanted to do that, and then I move all my stuff and do that seems like a pretty drastic change in lifestyle. And that's what you're saying you did, correct? Your statement is that's what you did.
Objection, spousal privilege. You don't have to talk about the conversation.
I'm asking what he did. I asked what he did.
The question you asked was, assuming the hypothetical, you and your wife had this discussion, wouldn't that be a pretty big decision? And I don't know how you can ask him to hypothesize about what's happening between you and.
Did you consider moving to yourself, basically separating your possessions and your residency and where you slept from your wife to be a pretty big decision?
I can't put it up there with a big decision, but it was a decision after we discussed it and she agreed to it.
How long have you been married?
40 years.
Okay. So that decision at that time, when you're maintaining, you keep basically separate lives for the most part, almost entirely. But that decision was taken within a 4 to 6 week period because that's a correct statement? Within a 4 to 6 week period, you took that decision to separate your possessions and your voter registration.
Well, I don't understand what your point is about that. Some people can make decisions like that in a short period of time.
I've just asked, was it within a 4 to 6 week period you made that decision?
I don't know if it's 4 to 6 weeks again. I'm telling you, man, I don't remember.
Okay, so you considered being on Owensville Council more important than your, at that time, 20-year marriage?
Objection. Spousal privilege.
I'm going to let him answer it.
I'm sorry?
I'm going to let you answer the question if you have an answer.
Anything you do is, no, it wasn't more important, but it was important.
But you made the decision, according to your testimony, to move there and to lead this sort of separate life to be on Owensville Council. That's the motivation of your decision.
I'm going to object to this mischaracterization of evidence. He keeps saying separate lives, and Mr. Perry's never said that they lived separate lives. They live separately, but they do not live separate lives.
The counsel's correct, but I think that's something for the witness to correct. I don't know if that's grounds to disallow the question.
It was a decision that we both made together, and she agreed with it. And I think our long marriage has proved that you can make it work.
So
I see her.
So if you live in separate places and your possessions are separate, you said you see her. How do you maintain your marriage in that circumstance?
Well,
Objection, spousal privilege.
I'm asking him how he maintains it.
I'm going to allow that question.
We talk 2-3 times. Well, we talk in the morning, we talk in the evening. There are days that she goes to we have an antique booth in Ripley. She goes down there every Wednesday. She stops, I make breakfast. She goes there, she comes, and I make dinner. Then on the weekends, we talk. We go on vacations together.
Okay.
So, it's not like we're not in love with each other.
Okay. Have you, and you've said you've never, have you ever wished that she would move and live in the same location as you?
She's happy where she is, and I'm happy where I am.
Okay. I have no other questions at this time.
Counselor, do you want to question the witness now?
Can I ask him a few questions now and then also ask him one cross, or would you rather me hold them all?
I'd
I'll hold
prefer,
them all.
if you're going to question, I'd prefer you do it once.
I'll hold them all then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Perry, you're excused, subject to being recalled by your own counsel. Your next witness, Mr. Hicks.
I have no other witnesses.
Subpoena.
He did subpoena the police chief.
You need,
I'm going to
Just
choose not
speak
to
up.
call him at this time.
Okay, so you're not calling any of the witnesses.
Okay, Mr. And then you can street dog case.
Is he here?
Yeah.
is this on?
Yes, it's under.
Okay, well, you're not
I'm sorry,
speaking loud
so
enough at all for me.
The chief can be excused.
Mike's here.
Unless they're going to call him.
Are you gonna use it? Okay, well then, sir, I'm sorry you had to do it. I assume you want to move the admission of your exhibits, Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Will be admitted. Is there objection?
Nope.
It will be admitted. Counselor, call your first witness.
Actually, this time I'd like to move to dismiss this challenge. Even taking the complaint's evidence at face value, it's legally insufficient to meet the required burden. Under the revised code 3503.
I'm sorry, can you please
Sorry.
speak up?
Yep, under the revised code, 3503.02, section A, residency is defined as the place where a person's habitation is fixed and to where the person intends to return. The complainant has presented no first-hand evidence regarding where Mr. Perry actually lives, sleeps, or intends to return. Instead, his case rests entirely on the fact that Mr. Perry's wife resides at a different address and on assumptions drawn from that fact. Ohio law does not require spouses to reside at the same address, and subsection D does not create an irrebuttable presumption that overrides actual residence and intent. There has been no testimony from anyone with personal knowledge that Mr. Perry does not live in Owensville, no documentary evidence contradicting his residence, and no competent evidence addressing the core statutory definition under subsection A. At most, Mr. Hicks has offered speculation and secondhand statements which fall far short of the clear and convincing evidence standard required to sustain this challenge. For those reasons, even construing the evidence in the light most favorable to Mr. Hicks, the challenge fails as a matter of law, and I would ask that it be dismissed.
Does the board want to?
Would like to discuss.
I think I'm allowed to respond to that.
Go ahead.
And I would direct you to page, I can put it up here too. I would direct you to, in the materials I handed out. She's made an argument relating to the statutes, so I want to address the statutes and the case law, not just the statutes, okay? So the Ohio Revised Code 3503.02D creates the presumption of a married person and their spouse living together and voting together. So on page 18, you can see the text of that statute. The place where the family of a married person resides shall be considered that person's place of residence, except when the spouses have separated and live apart. The place where such a spouse resides, the length of time required to entitle the person to vote, shall be considered the spouse's place of residence. So that's D. Now, I'm going to give you some case law relating to it and why I think her motion to dismiss fails. So there's actually relevant case law on that from just 2020, this, I don't know how to say it, Bobbin case, which is page 19 in the set that I hand out to you, that in order to make the argument that 3503.02D does not apply to a married couple, they have to either be divorced or a legal separation needs to be in place. So you can read that down here, I can read down here, I'll just read it. Bobbin, I don't know how to say it, also argues that it does not apply here because it contains an exception for when the spouses have separated and live apart, which is what they're maintaining. He argues the exception applies because although he and his wife have not legally separated, they do live apart. Bobolink's reading of that expression fails to account for the statute's language that the exception applies when the spouses have separated and living apart, or separated and living apart, and. Okay, emphasis added. To have meaning other than living apart, separated must refer to something akin to a legal separation. You just heard him testify that they still love each other, they're still married, they still do all this stuff, okay? Go on vacation. Otherwise, the exception would swallow the rule entirely, meaning if you just said you can live apart and say you don't have to register together, the statute would mean nothing because effectively it would wash the whole statute away. So the place where a person's spouse resides would be the person's residence unless the person does not live with the spouse. Okay? So there's more on this. So there's there's other tests, which I don't know that she hit these, but she didn't really hit D. A in the statute, 35, what's that statute? 3503.02. A is the place shall be considered the residence of a person in which the person's habitation is fixed and wherever the person is absent has the intention of returning. Now, I guess he's maintaining he has no intention of ever returning to the residence where his wife is. So we'll take that, okay, that he only has an intention of ever returning to this Owensville address. A person shall not be considered to have lost the person's residence who leaves the person's home and goes into another state or county of this state for temporary purposes with the intention of returning. Now, I could replay the interview where he talks about during the week sleeping at the shop because he works there. That's what he said in the interview. So the fact that he leaves the home that he owns with her in Miami Township for temporary purposes because during the week he works 8.6 miles away at some landscape business doesn't make him a qualified elector of Owensville. C, a person shall not be considered to have gained a residence in any county of this state into which the person comes for temporary purposes only without the intention of making such county the permanent place of abode. Okay? Now, I guess he's saying it's contrary to what happened in the interview where he talks about going there during the work week, that he's saying, no, I live there all the time. You know, I never go, we only meet at the New Richmond, whatever, or wherever he said, Ripley Antique Counter or something like this. But the fact that he is there for the purpose of running his landscape business or doing his landscaping doesn't make him a qualified elector in Owensville. He already testified that the whole reason he did this was because to be on Owensville Council. That the motivation for doing it was to be on Owensville Council, but he can't remember quite when he got appointed to Owensville Council, but his own representation was it was pretty soon after that took place. So in her arguments, she also fails to note that there's additional case law on this. So, because there's some things like what would happen if, for example, I moved to Miami Township in a house that was getting rehabbed, and my wife continued to be in Union Township, where we live now, but it was clear that I intended for her to move to me as soon as I got the house rehabbed, okay? There are some cases like that where boards of elections have left that slide because there was clearly an intent at some point in time to reunify. There's no intent to reunify here by their own testimony. And the testimony that you have is the reason the move was made at all was to be able to be on Owensville Council. Okay? So so you can look, there's a variety of cases that I cited on page 21 associated with this, where the Babylon case is the key one, but there's these other things about when would they ever go outside the Babylon case would be things like what I described. Somebody is rehabbing a house and their family can't move there. There's a case where the family lives like in Indiana. The person came to Ohio and was in a project to rehab the house or something, and the family never moved for like a year or a year and a half, something like that in there. Here, there's no intent to come back together. This has basically been done so he can be on council. He is not a true qualified elector of Owensville. So I think her motion to dismiss fails because she ignores key parts of the statute in that motion to dismiss. And this is a presumption where you can see from this prior case law, they have to rebut as to how this works. And you can listen to what was said about how this works, but be clear from the testimony that the entirety of the reason why he moved was because he claims to have moved, was so that he could serve in a political position in Owensville. So I think that you should rule against the motion to dismiss and we should go to a decision on the merits of the case. Or they should present their case in full and then we go to a...
Can I rebut?
Good.
The Bob Blank case that he cites, he pulls paragraph 17 out. The entire case in its entirety is actually quite relevant outside of paragraph 17. Mr. Hicks is treating subsection D like it controls everything when it in fact does not. The case here was the individual had weak evidence of actually even living in the county. There was massive conflicting testimony. His own kid said that he didn't live there, and it truly looked like a paper move. The court then weighed in on Section D. Section D creates a presumption, but it's not absolute. It can be weighed and overcome. The real question in this case is whether the person actually lived at the claimed residence. Here, Mr. Berry has 20 years at the same residence, consistent voter registration. His license is at that residence. His bills come to that residence. No witnesses have rebutted that. So I would ask that you please consider a motion to dismiss this.
You want to consult for a few minutes?
Move into recess, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're back on the record, the board has consulted. We are going to deny the motion, dismiss, Counselor, proceed with your case.
Mr. Perry, I'll recall you for answers.
And I need you to speak up, please.
They need to read it.
You don't need to. Well, I mean, you're still under oath. Usually we don't read.
Right.
Just remember, you are still under oath.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Perry. Where did you grow up?
In the house in Owensville.
And what is the Owensville home to you?
Well, it's a combination,
Objection, are these facts?
it's where I had my business.
Yes, what does it mean to you?
So what is
Oh, what does it mean to me?
What
Well,
is
it means a lot because of the fact that I grew up there. And I've got an emotional attachment to it also.
You grew up in the Owensville home that you currently reside in.
Yes, I did.
And when did you move back there?
It was, from Patrick Henry? or
From
what?
Patrick Henry.
Okay, what did we say earlier? I got a short memory.
Was it 2006?
Yeah, that's it.
Have you lived there since 2006?
Yes,
Have you ever moved back to the Patrick Henry house?
no.
Where do you sleep at night?
Owensville,
Where do you keep your belongings?
Owensville,
Your clothes?
Owensville,
Your personal items?
Owensville,
Where do you receive your mail?
Owensville Post Office.
How often do you see your wife during the week?
It just depends. Like I had said earlier, we got a Wednesday and then at least a Sunday, and then depending upon anything else she wants to do during the course of the week, we'll get together.
What address is on your driver's license?
414 South Broadway.
And did you bring your driver's license with you today?
I think you got it.
Where do you get your bills?
The post office in Owensville, and it's all dated to property and a post office box there.
Have you consistently used Owensville for all of your legal and personal affairs?
Yes,
You're married, correct?
yes.
What's your wife's name?
Kathy?
And she lives at Patrick Henry home?
Yes,
And you live at the Owensville home?
yes,
And that's intentional?
yes,
Is the house in Owensville your home?
yes, yeah.
Do
Say
you,
that.
do you intend to remain there?
Yes,
And when you leave, is that where you come back?
yes.
That's all.
I'd like to jive your statements you just made right now with what you said to me in the interview. So if I can, I'd like to just replay that portion of the interview that's him answering my questions.
Be succinct.
And you would agree that we spoke to each other on the phone on March 31st?
On the phone.
Yeah, what's in this report that I already played once?
Well, let's say it again.
Oh, shoot. Hold on.
Is this Mike?
Yes.
Hey, Mike. My name is Chris Hicks with the Watchdog Wire. I'm right now at your place in Owensville. Are you around here anywhere? Because I got a couple questions for you about your residency.
Well, What difference does it make, Mr. Hicks? I know your history, so,
What history would that be?
I don't get it. I don't get it.
What do you mean, what difference would it make? If you don't actually live in Owensville, you can't be voting from Owensville in an elected office from Owensville. Is that you just pulled in here?
Where are you?
I'm at your place in Owensville.
No, I'm not there right now.
Okay. Well, I just watched somebody pull in a pickup truck. Different
Yeah,
one.
that's my son who works
Okay.
with.
Okay. But clearly, this is not a residence, this is a business location. Your wife says you're not divorced or separated or anything, so Ohio law assumes you vote from the address that your spouse does, that you both register out of the same address. Why is it that you have your registered to vote at your business address that's in your wife's name, not at the house in Miami Township that's in both your names?
All right, so what is this, buddy? I mean, you know, you're up to something.
What do you mean? It looks like you're illegally voting from Owensville and illegally holding office. That's what I'm up to.
Well,
You don't actually live here. You live in Miami Township with your wife.
during the week, I reside in Owensville because I work.
You sleep here every night.
You know what? I'm not going to talk to you anymore.
Well, I just asked you to sleep here every night. You said it's like what, a 20-minute drive? You sleep here because it's such a long drive?
Bye.
So is that your voice?
Yeah, it's my voice.
Do you remember that call that we had?
Okay,
Yes or no? Do you remember that call we had?
yes.
Okay, so you said in that call that you sleep there during the week. Is that not what you said?
Yes,
So, but then you've maintained here that you sleep there all the time and never sleep in the home.
that was my mistake.
So you made a mistake as to whether you slept there during the week or all the time?
No,
So why did you say that you slept there during the week if you actually slept there all the time?
okay, same thing as my wife said. You know, you make people nervous, and you made me nervous, and I was just not thinking. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to run a business, and my head goes in so many different directions during the course of a day that I made the mistake. And that is not a truthful statement that I made.
So you're saying that's not a truthful statement, but it's
Because of the
not
fact
because you
that-
were scared of me.
Yeah, I feel intimidated by you.
Okay. But your mind took you to a statement of during the week versus when you were intimidated just saying, I absolutely live there, I sleep there. Your mind took you to making a mistake to say you slept there during the week versus versus the truth, which would be I sleep there all the time. Why do you think your mind might have had you say during the week instead of just saying I sleep there all the
I
time?
have no idea, sir, but I sleep there every night.
Okay. I'd like to play just a little bit of her thing just to see, I've got to recollect my memory of what she said, but of how it interrelates with what he said, what he's testified to here.
Wait, you're
Can I-
planning to recollect your own memory?
Yeah.
We don't need that.
I'm playing to recollect your memories, our memories.
Well, do you have a question? Are you playing something you're
I'm going to ask him a question about things his wife said. I want to make sure his memory's clear. He said he doesn't have good memory.
Is Michael Perry
Ask
here?
some questions about what she said.
Are you Kathleen Perry? So, where does he live?
Nowheresville.
Okay, well,
Who are you?
my name's Chris Hicks. I'm with the Watchdog Wire. I'm a reporter.
Why?
Because there's been questions raised as to where he lives.
Nowheresville.
But his name is on the property for this address,
Correct.
but you're on the property in Owensville.
Correct.
Ray, this is the third
So
time.
why is he,
He's on council up there.
so he fake lives there so that he can, are you guys separated or divorced?
Are there any questions coming
Do
out?
you have marital
There,
issues?
for him.
So, okay, so you're saying he doesn't live here?
Why don't you just call up there, or go up there and stop and see him up there?
Okay, well, I'm just a little confused on your living arrangement. So you're husband and wife?
Actually, yes.
You know, in Ohio law, there's a presumption that husband and wives are registered to vote at the same address.
You know what? I'm not getting in this because I don't know what this, I'm assuming it has to do with him being on council. Somebody must have done something with it.
No, the
You're
question
not
is,
recording me, are you?
I'm recording my face, not yours. But the question is, how is it that you guys, it appears that he only maintains a fake address there so he can be on council. Why would he not live with his wife?
That's
Mr. Hicks?
personal. That's none of your business.
It is because in the law in Ohio,
Perry?
for election purposes, a husband and wife are presumed to live together and be registered at the same address unless they have an actual divorce proceeding or legal separation.
So why do you think that your wife at that point in time didn't just say he doesn't live here at all, he lives in Owensville?
Object.
I can't think for her.
You can't think for her.
I cannot think for her and what she says. I don't have any, she's making a statement with what, to counter what you said.
Okay.
So how can I know what she is going to say to you if I don't know.
Okay, I have no other questions.
When Mr. Hicks called you, were you nervous?
Yes.
Asked and answered.
Have you ever talked to Mr. Hicks on the phone before,
No.
or in person before that phone call?
No, it's just following his reputation.
And did you,
Was that a fact or?
Is there an objection there, Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
What's the
I
objection?
object to his characterization of my reputation unless he has evidence of that he wants to introduce my reputation.
Did I say
You
anything
just said-
negative to you?
you just said his reputation, you
I
didn't
just said his
characterize it.
reputation. I didn't say bad.
Objection's
good, or
overruled, let's move on.
different.
Did you, at that time, fully understand why Mr. Hicks was calling you?
No,
So it could have been for any, could it have been for any reason?
as far as I know, yes.
That's all I have.
I have a question.
Good, Mr. Rudd.
Who is Glenn Perry?
That was my father.
Now, so you and your wife purchased your home from your father.
Yes,
And just for clarification, that is your boyhood home.
yes,
So you purchased the home from your father, that's your boyhood home, and that is where you reside.
yes.
Thank you, Mr. Perry.
I have a question, a couple questions actually. Mr. Perry, does the Owensville Post Office do home delivery or does everybody?
No, you have a box.
You have a box. Everybody in the village does that?
Yeah.
Do we have, you asked him about his driver's license. Do we have a copy
I do,
of Mr. Perry's
he
driver's
brought it to
license?
me today, so I don't have multiple copies for exhibits, but I have his driver's license, which is actually expired. But then I have his paper version of his,
It isn't expired.
that isn't expired, because he's waiting for his new hard copy.
Yeah, can we make a copy of that?
Yeah, he brought it to me today, so.
Can I get a copy of that with any redaction that's necessary on it?
No, redacted driver's license, his license, driver's license number.
Redacted.
What'd you say should be redacted?
His driver's license number.
I don't think that's a redaction in the law.
So that redacted.
His social would be, but not his driver's license number.
Then I think we probably ought to have Mr. Perry identify those documents.
You want to make sure, I want to make sure I get one that they think's been properly redacted. You know what I'm saying? So I don't get accused of anything.
I will practice. What exhibit did we end on, 9? 10?
Are we doing separate your numbers and my number?
I'll do
Like A, B, C for you?
I gave them one.
That's what we call this respondents.
A. We'll go with
It's just,
the two of them together will be A. That's totally
I'm
fine.
suggesting that you would do it.
Yep, that's perfect.
So that's A, right?
Respondents A, the two of them together.
Are we putting this as one exhibit?
One exhibit with the actual license on top.
Okay.
You take your own time. Pretending that he's your stakeholder and nicely handed them to you.
We should try to staple right there. This is respondents A.
What is it?
Respondents exhibit A.
Oh, okay.
And the card license.
Back on. Mr. Mayor, I'm handing you an exhibit that's been marked Exhibit A. Can you identify what the first page of that exhibit is?
It's a driver's license.
Whose driver's license?
It's mine.
What's the address on that driver's license?
414, it says 414 Broadway Street, Ellisville, Ohio, 45160.
Is that where you live?
Yes.
Can you put the second page, please? Oh, what is that second page of the exhibit?
That's my name and my address, 414 Broadway Street, Ellisville, Ohio.
Is that a paper copy of your license renewal?
Yes.
And is that your address?
Yes.
Is that where you live? Thank you.
is that a verb? Was that yes? You just
Yes.
said yes.
Sorry. Doesn't detect it, it doesn't.
That's all I have.
Mr. Hicks, you have any questions, Mr. Ray, specifically about the driver's license?
Yes. Your driver's license, if I understand it right, expired on January 2 of 2026.
Yes, it did.
You then renewed that license on April 6, 2026.
Yes.
Did you not receive the notifications by mail at your Owensville address to renew your driver's license?
No.
Why wouldn't you receive the notifications from the DMV to renew your driver's license at the address that's your sole home?
No, wait, what was your question?
So in order to get to the point that your driver's license expired, you would have had to ignore or not receive multiple notifications from the DMV that your license was up for renewal. Your license expired in January. You're claiming that it went to 414 Broadway, that's your permanent address. I'm just wondering, did you miss or not receive the notifications at that address from the DMV on your license renewal?
I must have missed it because secondly, if it was 2 weeks late or something of that nature, I have no need to look at my driver's license on.
Yeah, but you check your mail for the address that you claim is your permanent residence, 414 Broadway?
Yeah, I checked my mail.
So when you
but I
checked your
didn't
mail,
receive
you did not.
anything.
So your statement today is that your testimony is that you did not receive anything from the Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles about the needing to renew your license or that it had expired.
Not that I saw in my mailbox.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Next witness.
I'd like to recall Ms. Catherine Perry.
Ms. Perry, you are still under oath.
Hi, Ms. Perry. Where do you live?
I live at 27 Patrick Henry, Milford.
Where does Mr. Perry live?
Owensville, 414 South Broadway.
How long has that been your living arrangement?
About 20 years.
Do you guys spend time together regularly?
Yes.
I didn't hear the question.
Do you guys spend time together
I'll spend- okay.
regularly? Is your living arrangement intentional?
Yes.
Does it work for you?
I'm sorry, yes.
Are you aware that your address was published online in a video proposed by Mr. Hicks?
Yes. I'm sorry.
It's okay. And that a video of your home was posted in that same video?
Yes.
How did that affect you?
I'm afraid. We have had our son put cameras in the front and the back of my house. I live there myself. He published, as he said, 40,000 people. I don't know these people. I don't know if they're gonna come to my house, if they think I'm there by myself.
I'm going to object to this.
I understand her upset, but the question is, how is this relevant to the issue of where Mr. Perry lives?
We're gonna move on.
Okay.
The Owensville property is solely in your name, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did the two of you do that?
Because I am younger.
And you being,
And
go ahead.
The thought would be that I'll live longer than him, and that's what we decided to do. I mean, I know things can happen, but
Does Michael Perry live in Owensville?
yes,
And you live in Milford?
yes, ma'am.
And you two are happily married?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Mr. Hicks?
You're aware that your address is a public record of the auditor's
Yes,
office?
but if you don't point it
I'm
out.
just, yes or
no
no?
one's gonna
Yes or
look.
no? Okay.
Yes.
You're aware that your address is a public record of the Board of Elections?
Yes,
Okay. You're aware that your husband is an elected official in a public position?
yes,
Okay. She asked you the question about changing the ownership of the house in Owensville to be you exclusively. And your testimony was that you did that because you believe that you would likely live longer than him?
correct.
Why didn't you do the same thing then with the house in Miami Township?
We still had a mortgage on it.
Okay. Do you
We
have,
didn't do it because
is the mortgage still in place?
we have an Equiline.
Okay. So your testimony as to why you don't, if you did not have debt on the house, you would change the ownership to be just you under the same?
I don't know what the future will bring.
Have you inquired with the lenders as to whether you would be able to change the
No, I have
ownership to
not.
be just one of you?
I have not inquired about it.
Okay. So but you did that on the one house because you believe that
We
likely,
did.
like most cases, the woman lives longer than the man,
Correct,
that you would live longer than him.
correct.
But the other house, your testimony is you didn't do that because of debt on the house.
I believe that, yes. I don't think,
Okay.
and then didn't know if we were allowed to, so. I don't know,
Okay. I have no further questions.
Do you know? No, I don't.
Mr. Perry, you're excused. Next witness.
This witness wasn't subpoenaed.
They don't have to be.
I don't even know who they are.
You'll find out. We don't either. We're all in the same boat there.
You have to swear again.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yep.
Good morning. Well, good afternoon. Could you please state your name for the record?
Julie Bierman,
Ms. Bierman, what is your address?
421 South Broadway, Owensville.
How do you know Mr. Perry?
He's my neighbor,
How close is your home to his?
right across the street, right across 132.
Do you see him regularly
Yes,
during the week?
Yes,
On the weekends?
yes,
Does he live in Owensville?
yes,
Does he live on South Broadway?
yes.
Any other questions?
So when you said he lives in Owensville on South Broadway, what's your basis for that?
I live across the street. I see
That's
him
a
every
physical
day.
location. Do you monitor his comings and goings?
Every time I look out the front of my house, I see his.
That doesn't mean he's living there, right? Would you
He is
agree that
living
that
there.
doesn't mean he's living there?
He does live there. He's there morning till night. He's in and out a dozen times a day.
On weekdays when he's running a business out of there?
Yes.
On
He does
weekends?
local landscaping.
On weekends?
Yes,
Okay. Would you acknowledge that that property, I want to be careful the way I say it, that property is the headquarters per se of his landscaping company?
he runs a business there, yes,
And that it's a landscaping company?
yes,
And that, for example, around there, if you see the house, there's a lot of landscaping equipment and trucks and stuff like that in the backyard and things like that.
yes.
Okay, so could you be confused that his comings and goings are because he's the owner of a business that operates out of that address, and that doesn't necessarily mean he's sleeping there at night?
No.
Has he ever invited you over for dinner at night?
Not for dinner, but I've been in the house.
Okay. Can you then describe for me the inside of the house?
Yeah, it looks like a 1940s ranch.
Okay, but the topology of it, like, does it look like a workplace, like a residence?
No, he's got living room furniture, kitchen stocked,
Okay.
bedrooms have beds.
Have you ever socialized with him in that house?
Chatted, yeah,
Chatted inside the house?
yes,
Okay, but have you invited him over for dinner at your house or anything like
Yes.
that?
yes,
Okay, would you describe him as a friend?
yes.
Okay, how long have you known him?
I moved to that house in 2013.
Okay, and have you actually witnessed him sleeping there?
Like saw him lay in the bed?
Yeah,
No,
okay, but you have witnessed that he comes and goes,
yes,
okay? And you have acknowledged that that is a business, that he operates a landscaping business out of there.
yes,
Have you seen his son also come and go from there?
yes.
Does that mean his son lives there?
No, he leaves at night.
So you're testifying that you can confirm that Mike Perry does not leave at night from that address?
Yes.
Have you ever seen him leave at night?
After dark, very rarely, if at all.
Have you ever seen his wife or son drop him off there?
I don't know. Like
So-
drop him off, like if they go together somewhere, maybe.
So to frame the question, I made representations in my testimony of people telling me that he leaves a truck there to appear that he's there and his wife and son ferry him back and forth. Your testimony would be that you have or have not seen his wife and son dropping him off, for example, in the morning.
No,
You've not seen him drop him off in the morning,
nope,
nor pick him up at night.
nope.
Okay. The times when you may have seen that, to your recollection, would have been more of the ilk of potentially they went out to dinner or something like that, versus
Yes.
that it was some scheme to keep a truck there.
Or like they go on vacation, they'll take one car.
Okay. Okay. I have no further questions.
Anything else, Counselor?
Ms. Barron, do you run a business out of your house?
Yes,
So you live at your house? Do you live at your house?
yes,
And you also run a business out of
Yes.
your house? So you believe it's possible to do both?
yes.
That's all I know.
I have an additional redirect.
Go ahead, Mr. Hicks.
So have you ever worked at a location that wasn't in your house?
Yes.
What was that location? It's just one. That's just an example.
I worked at Mercy Anderson.
Mercy Anderson. Do you believe that you could have been a qualified elector at Mercy Anderson because you worked there?
No, I don't live there. I
Okay.
work there.
All right. Thank you.
Ma'am, you're excused.
Thank you.
Call your next witness.
I have no other witnesses, but I'd like to offer an exhibit, a November 29, 2024 letter from the Secretary of State addressing a voter residency challenge. It outlines the applicable burden of proof and how these challenges are analyzed.
Do you have a copy of this for me or what this is?
I think it's more.
Is it specific to him?
I'd just like to offer it into evidence.
That's a
and put it
pretty
on the
simple
record.
question. Is it specific to him?
Sorry,
I would just like
this
to
is on
offer
the
this
record, I need,
into evidence and put it on the record at the close of mine.
I mean, is this evidence or is it support, is it legal authority to support your argument?
It's in support of my argument.
I mean, you're welcome to submit that for your argument. It's not really, if it's not evidence, it's not really, I don't think it's really part of the record. You can put that as part of your, just as Mr. Hicks gave us videos of some quotes from cases. Anything else? Okay, and you're resting, correct?
So the evidence, the exhibits.
You want to move the admission of the two driver's
The
licenses?
admission of the two driver's license, please,
The
yes.
objection, Mr. Hicks?
Mhm.
Very good.
I made 5 copies, not
Okay, that's fine.
He doesn't get the vote then. He doesn't get the vote then.
Mr. Hicks, do you have any rebuttal witnesses to call?
No.
All right, then we will move to closing statements. Mr. Hicks, you have the burden of proof, so you go first. You want to reserve any of your time to respond to their argument.
I've already told you I need more than 5 minutes because you told me I had to go through the case law as part of a close. So I don't know about, this is not an appellate hearing.
You're getting 5 minutes. I would urge you not to repeat things you already said. For example, we understand your position on the effect of the presumption about married couples. You don't need to repeat that for the 20th time in this hearing.
Well, I haven't done it 20 times, but thank you for telling me your mental state. Okay, so I'm going to again point out that there's a 4-part test. The very clearly, by his own admission, this was done, this whole thing, facade, which I think we've had some facade here, was done because he wanted to be on Owensville Council. Okay, it's not really a legitimate move. There's been no attempt to reconcile, be in the same location, any of that kind of stuff. So when you look at the law and the cases, the other, now, he's testifying certain things, yes. He's testifying he's never going to move back with his wife, or he's never going to do this, or he's never going to do that. Very interesting, very interesting. But so again, the presumption that they have the obligation to rebut, it's not as simple, is why they don't live together as a husband and wife, or why they have no plan to live together. Why don't you get divorced then? You can be friends. You know, I have a lot of friends, we don't live together, we're not married. Okay, so I already went through 350302D, but then also all these other tests is he can make the representations, and you've heard his representations. You're going to have to decide whether his representations are truthful or not truthful. Okay, but even if you look at these, the fact that he has a business, and even if he sleeps there during the week, doesn't make him eligible to be a qualified elector. The fact that he goes to a different address for a temporary purpose doesn't cause him to lose his status as a qualified elector, regardless of the filings that he did. When I would work overseas, I didn't lose my status to vote in in Claremont County because I was in China. Okay, so you take all of these tests, and here, other than their testimony that they just decided on the spur of the moment, because there's a credibility statement here, as with a couple 3 weeks notice, I just decided I was going to start living a totally separate life from my wife. And that's the story you're supposed to believe. But by the way, the reason I did that is because I wanted to be on Owensville Council, and that was more important to me. Not only, it's so important that we never had a plan to actually move jointly to Owensville. Okay, they're 8.6 miles away right now. So I think if you look at the test and the case law, none of this makes any sense. I mean, you could say, well, okay, but he doesn't gain. He doesn't gain residency by claiming that he's sleeping at a business. He doesn't lose residency by doing that either. And the presumption that they did not really rebut is that a husband and wife should either live together, if you look at the case law, have a plan where at some point they're going to live together. And I would say you should look at the Supreme Court case that just came out, because it talks about that Babylon case and how that case should be interpreted. And I think some misrepresentations were made by their counsel as to that case, and I would encourage you to make sure you look at what the Supreme Court said just today. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor, you have 5 minutes.
This case turns on one issue, and that's where Mr. Perry lives. Ohio law begins with the Revised Code 3503.02a. That defines residency as the place where a person's habitation is fixed and where they intend to return. The evidence here overwhelmingly satisfies that definition. For nearly 20 years, Mr. Perry has lived in Owensville. His driver's license says Owensville, his bills go to Owensville, his voter registration is Owensville. His testimony confirms it, his wife's testimony confirms it, his neighbor's testimony confirms it. Mr. Hicks' case is based on what he observed from outside their homes, and he has stated that many of the facts he learned are based on what he was told without coming up with hard evidence. He's also based a lot of this on his thoughts about how married couples should operate. Living in 2 separate homes has worked for the Perrys, and they've rebutted that presumption. They're happily living physically apart. Mr. Hicks relies heavily on the Bobolek case, but that case properly highlights why this challenge fails. This is the exact opposite of what we have here. There's overwhelming evidence that Mr. Perry actually lives in Owensville. Even assuming that subsection D of RC 350302 applies, it does not override actual residence and intent, neither of which are irrebuttable. Both of which are not irrebuttable. Critically, under Ohio law, a challenger must prove their case by clear and convincing evidence. Where there is any uncertainty, the law requires that great weight be given to the voter's claimed residence. At best, Mr. Hicks is speculation. This is not a close case. The evidence is overwhelmingly establishing that Mr. Perry's home is in Owensville.
Okay. We will take the matter under submission.
Is it possible for me to say something?
No.
I know you've already had your time to testify, sorry. Your counsel spoke for you, Mr. Perry, which is what you're paying for. The board will adjourn to consult and render decisions since we are required to render a decision immediately upon the close of this hearing. The board has deliberated. Does somebody have a motion?
I have a motion that we deny the challenger as he has not presented clear and convincing evidence that Mr. Perry does not reside in his Owensville residence.
Is there a second?
Yes. Yes.
Moved by Mr. Hiller, second by Mr. Conrad. Do you have any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Rumpke,
Yes.
Mr. Hiller,
Yes.
Mr. Conrad,
Yes.
Mr. Rudd.
Yes.
The challenge is denied. I thank everybody for your time. At this point, the record is closed.